What's going on there, YouTube, and welcome back to another comic book video. Okay, guys, so we are basically going to begin our coverage over Gary Dugan's X-Men run. Now, this is huge because this is coming right after the Hellfire Gala event, and of course, it's also huge because Jonathan Hickman is no longer on the main X-Men book. It now comes down to Gary Dugan. Now, this is actually very huge because Jonathan Hickman took over the X-Men books back in 2018. And for 3 years, almost 4, Homeboy has been working on the X-Men books left and right to tell this huge overall story. But of course, after 21 issues of X-Men, House of X, Power of X, Giant Size X-Men, Exosaurus, and the Hellfire Gala event, you basically had Hickman say, "I'm done. I'm leaving. I told my story. I still have one more left, which is Inferno, which we're going to cover down the road. But for now, I'm done. I'm out." It's now down for Gary Dugan to basically take the X-Men books into his direction. And so, of course, now it's time for him to do his work. Now, right off the bat, this is completely different than what Hickman was trying to do. And what I mean by that is when it came to Hickman in the X-Men books, you had all these different teams: X-Factor, X-Force, Excalibur. I feel like I'm missing a team. Oh, Hellions. Yes, you had all these different teams, but you did not have the main X-Men team. That was very huge. And so now with Gary Dugan's kind of like, no, I'm bringing back a main X-Men team. Here is your X-Men. Now, we actually met this team back in X-Men number 21. And of course, you had Hickman say, these are going to be your X-Men team characters. So Cyclops, Jean Grey, Sunfire, Rogue, Polaris, and Synch. These characters right here are going to be your main X-Men team. And Gary Dugan is going to write this team in his brand new X-Men series. So of course, this is where we at. X-Men number 1. And of course, it's a new beginning for X-Men and also having a main X-Men team now. Now, with X-Men number 1 basically taking place after the Hellfire Gala event, you do have some things in that event that is going to affect this book and other books down the road. Like, for example, in the Hellfire Gala event, we saw the mutant race show the entire Earth that now Mars is a planet that humans and mutants can live on. And right now, Araco, the second mutant nation, was put on Mars to show that Mars is now a planet that we can actually live on. It was a huge success and a huge thing for Earth to see, the humans to see. Now, the problem was, though, there was this guy known as Kevin Heng. Now, Kevin Heng is going to be very important. Now, we do get his entire origin right now, which is that basically when he was 13 years old, he was so smart, he had his first IP and made millions of dollars. The problem was, though, his parents felt like their son was just a one-hit wonder. He can't do anything else at all that big ever again. And so they abandoned him, which honestly is kind of really messed up. But either way, he was able to bounce back, form his own company, and make a lot more money. Now, of course, this company was called Aerospace. And matter of fact, we heard this name before in our last video for the X-Men in Marauders number 22. But basically, in that book right there, we learned that his company stock just completely crashed. And of course, that right now is being mentioned again because with the mutants being able to take Mars and turn into a planet where humans and mutants can live on, his company means nothing now because his goal was to basically make that possible for humans and mutants to live on Mars. That was his company's main goal. And now with the mutant race basically doing that, it of course had his company fall apart. And now he wants revenge. He is going after the mutants. Now, we actually jump over to New York City, where we actually pick up with Cyclops right now, showing us the Treehouse. Now, the Treehouse is going to be the main base for the X-Men team. And really, almost every single team in the X-Men books have that base, like X-Factor. They have the Boneyard. Or, Excalibur has the Lighthouse. But for the main X-Men team, it is going to be the Treehouse. And the Treehouse is located right in the middle of New York. Now, of course, you do have Cyclops be confronted by Ben Urich. Now, Ben Urich is a great reporter. He's been around for a very long time in Spider-Man comics, Daredevil comics. Like, the dude been around for a very long time. But here's the thing about Ben Urich. He's very good at getting information that he wants to get. And right now, he is asking Cyclops about Jumbo. Now, Jumbo is a character we have seen here and there throughout the different books we covered so far in the COPPA era of X-Men comics. But basically, usually, when we see Jumbo, he's usually making an outfit for somebody. And so right now, you have Ben Urich asking Cyclops, hey, what happened to Jumbo? Because Jumbo died in the Hellfire Gala event. And of course, a lot of people saw him die. But of course, they have no idea how he died. You know, was he stabbed to death? Was it an overdose? Was it alcohol? Like, how did he die? What happened to him? And of course, is Cyclops not telling Ben Urich anything at all? Because Cyclops knows how good Ben Urich is when it's coming to getting information that he basically wants. But after that conversation with Ben Urich, you do have Cyclops go inside the treehouse. And when he does, of course, this kind of gives us a look around the treehouse to see what's inside the treehouse. And right now you have the X-Men they really are still setting up the treehouse, getting it ready to be functionable as an actual base for the X-Men to actually use. And of course, you still have some characters who are still kind of moving in. So like Polaris, she just arrived to move into a tree. And so, of course, she finds it very interesting on what they're doing with the treehouse base. But of course, while you have the X-Men kind of getting settled in, well, that is the moment you have Jean Grey get contacted by Rogue. And of course, is Rogue telling Jean Grey, hey, listen, I know it's our first day at our new base, but we already got a problem. So, hey, the X-Men, we got to get to work right now. Now, you do have Rogue basically tell Jean Grey that right now you have a bunch of fireballs that are just falling out of the sky. And of course, that is very weird. But either way, you do have Rogue tell Jean Grey that she is going to go investigate to see what in the world is crashing onto the Earth. Now, when it does crash onto the Earth, at first, you see the small, tiny life form. And of course, it begins to evolve into something bigger. And of course, when Rogue tries to get close to it, it sends Rogue flying away. And of course, with Rogue being sent flying away, and Rogue is kind of like the X-Men powerhouse, that tells them, okay, guys, we got some work to do. Because right now it seems like we had this random alien arrive on Earth, and of course, it just took out our powerhouse, which means we could be in trouble. So X-Men, it's our first day, but we gotta go. So let's go and do our job. Now, of course, you do have the X-Men begin to actually fight against this creature. Now, while they're fighting against this creature, first, they are basically losing this battle. And we actually do see that. We actually see them lose this battle. But here's the thing I feel like where Jonathan Hickman and also Gary Dugan was going with the idea of this X-Men team. And what I mean by that is that basically this X-Men team has the ability to be completely synced to one another. And I'm not just saying that because you do have the one particular character named Sync who has the ability to copy other mutant abilities. But what I'm saying is that each of their abilities work well together. Sunfire with Cyclops, or Polaris with Jean Grey, or Wolverine with someone else. Like basically all their powers somehow work perfectly together, and they have a good huge syncing system that actually helps them win this battle. And so while this battle is going on for a few pages, you actually do have the X-Men team being able to actually defeat this robot. And it's actually kind of a cool thing because this is their first time being in New York as a superhero team again. And they're kind of like, look, guys, the X-Men are here to make sure that this city, that this area is protected by us. The X-Men are back, and we are here to stay. Now, once you have the X-Men actually able to defeat the robot, you do kind of have them kind of look over the idea, what was the actual purpose of this robot? And of course, after a good few moments of studying the robot, you do have the X-Men find out that basically this robot was made to technically kill off all mammals on particular planets. So basically, this thing was coming down to only kill mammals, which to me, very interesting. But either way, though, of course, they're kind of like, that was the main goal for this robot, and that is it. So the question is, though, who out there in the universe wanted to kill off the human race, or really all mammals on life on Earth? But then we jump over to Game World. Now, Game World is what it sounds like. It's basically where a place you are able to make different kind of wagers on different kind of things happening across the universe. And so, of course, right now, you basically have people making wagers on Earth, because with the humans now kind of expanding their horizons and going around and kind of capturing different planets as a way to kind of live on those different planets, you have a lot of aliens kind of like, hey, the humans are now expanding. They just took over Mars, a nearby planet, and that means more and more down the road. And so with that, you have a lot of people who want to see the humans basically fail. And so with that, you now have these different aliens basically kind of taking wagers on how the humans will fail. But at the same time, they're going to do different things to see if the humans are actually going to fail. And so now their main target, everyone on Game World, is at the humans. But the person who's kind of leading Game World is Cordyceps Jones. Now, Cordyceps Jones is a very intergalactic mafia boss. He's basically a fungi that got intelligence, became some kind of, like I said, a mafia boss, intergalactic mafia boss, but he's the one kind of controlling Game World. And so, of course, he's going to be our main bad guy for right now when it comes to Gary Dugan's run on X-Men in the earlier books of this series. But then we jump over to New Jersey, where we actually do pick up with a character known as Dr. Stasis. Now, Dr. Stasis is basically a character who's trying to figure out how are the mutants able to resurrect themselves. And if that's the case right there, how can he take their process and apply it to humans? Now, of course, we do see him right now trying to do different kinds of experiments to see if these creatures can live in different kinds of ways. Now, with that being said, though, you also have Dr. Stasis tell us that he's been alive for a very long time. And of course, he's trying to unlock all the different secrets that the mutants have. And so, of course, this is a character that we're going to learn more about as we go through the different books that come after X-Men #1. And so don't worry, we're going to learn a whole lot more of Dr. Stasis. And when I tell you guys, Dr. Stasis is a very cool and very interesting character. But this is where we are basically going to end today's comic book video. So with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed today's comic book video. And if you did, please leave me a like down below and subscribe. Also, if you have any suggestions on books I should read, well, please let me know in the comments below, because you never know, your suggestion could be a future video down the road. But guys, I'll see y'all next time. Later.